Hey, everybody. Secondhand Dan coming to you again from the Penny Pincher thrift shop land, just east of Pittsburgh. Hey, I was at a private sale where a man who was 78 years old let me into his house, which basically he had lived there decades and decades, because he said he moved out of that house 2 years ago. Now, I don't know if there was a time when he lived there, moved out of it, and came back. I didn't get all that story, but it still was in his family. He was just a baby when he was brought into that house, and it was a 3-story house. What he called the attic was still just a walk-up stairs, and even the attic had an attic. When you look up in the ceiling, I guess I gotta go like that. When you look up in the ceiling, there was another hatch. You would need a stepladder to get up and get in, but I haven't peeked in there. But he gave me virtually free reign of the whole house. I mean, he tagged along to some extent, but I didn't mind, and I'm not trying to hide anything. In fact, occasionally I find a dollar bill somewhere, and I'd give it to him and say, "Ooh, here's a dollar." Actually, I found a $2 bill. And I would have liked it if he would have sold me that one, because it had an old date on it. Anyway, he kept the $2 bill, but I'm going to be meeting with him again probably another week. And well, anyway, let's get to the short of it. I want to show you what I picked up at that sale. Well, right now, I need to move the truck. The truck is still sitting from where I had to offload it, because there was so much stuff I had to back close to my building. You can see it's empty, except for a couple of things inside. So, but let me hit the remote. All right, I got to park it because I am in the middle of the lot. It looks a little tacky. Okay, I'm driving something with colunk. Oh, I know, something that fell over in the bed of the truck I had standing up on, and some kind of slab for a table. I think my mom gave it to her. Amazon sent her one too many tabletops or something like that. So it's in the back of my truck. I should get that off. I have no idea what it looks like, but gotta juggle the steering wheel here to make sure I don't hit our new car back there, so I can get this thing parked properly. I will get a beep, beep, beep as I back up at when I'm getting, yeah, there it is. And it'll increase to a full-on drone. There. Time to go forward. There's my next door neighbor has a little car lot there, and they haven't sold off that lot for basically over a year. They still own the building. They own a car lot that's probably like 5 miles away. So I wouldn't mind picking up that building if it was cheap, but yeah, like you're going to buy a building off of a used car salesman cheap. All right, I have stuff in the truck from the sale. Even though I offloaded the truck, there's a thing that fell over while I was backing up. I put some stuff inside the cab. And okay, here we go. Things I bought at the man's estate sale. I call it an estate sale, but it's a private sale. I got now they're going to be showing you in no significant order or value. But, you know, some things just make me laugh, put a smile on my face. So I threw this in with the stuff I was buying. What I did was I would put piles together. We started on the ground floor, and I said, let me put a pile together, and that way, rather than try and say, well, I'm going to give you $5 for this and $4 for that and $2 for this, I'm just going to create piles, and at the end, we'll see if we can't come to terms on all the stuff that I piled up. So I had a pile on the 2 piles on the first floor, a pile on the second floor, and a pile on the third floor, and a pile down in the basement. All right, well, these here, very unique. They are Hall. I said, oh, those are refrigerator dishes. He said, no, they actually came with a roaster, the old-fashioned roaster. But I think it came with refrigerators too. But nice Art Deco patterns. But I guess that one's empty. I checked them for chips before I bought them, so they're clean. I'll probably just run them up at the antique mall. When I looked online, it looked like, you know, the most you could probably expect is like $25 for one. So that sounded like too much work for me. If I could just get $22 up at the antique mall. There's a nail trimming manicure set. These are the dishes themselves are Hall. H-A-L-L. There is a Hall, I think H-U-L-L, I think, but I think the H-U-L-L company was more into pottery that was decorative, while the H-A-L-L made decorative and functional. But you can see it says made exclusively for Westinghouse, so that makes sense because they could have been in the Westinghouse roaster that their family bought. But then again, if you buy a Westinghouse refrigerator, they could be in there also. If the picture goes crazy once in a while, it's because I have to flip my phone over to make sure that the microphone receiver that's plugged into my USB port is still lit. I actually have a rubber band around it holding the tension on it. When I first got it, I was able to plug it in facing me, but it's been acting up. I think the phone's at fault, and so it only wants to work with the light facing away from me. So I want to make sure that it doesn't go off, which means my microphone's no longer working. Now we got a lot of truck traffic, car traffic, so that's a 4-lane there. All right, so everything I'm showing you, I'm trying to, I definitely want to keep it from the estate that I just bought from. Now, I don't know if this is worth anything, but nice clean Winchester rifle box. You know, that could be from the 80s, but I don't know if Winchester still puts their rifles in nice boxes like this or not, but I figured, hey, I'm throwing it on the pile. Here I have TMP power steering fluid in a what's called a cone top. People like tins to decorate the man cave with. You know, power steering fluid now comes in plastic bottles. So, hey, if you know anything, you know that when a beer comes in a cone top, watch out. That could be a good money maker if you have a beer can that's a cone top. But I have bowls down here. This one, you know, it's not marked. Usually it's a Pyrex. But the color bowls, you know, I'll probably run them up to the antique mall. There's a red one, and there's a green one. And this big brownware, does it have a name on it? Pfalzgraff. Okay, that might be a $10 bowl on the Pfalzgraff. I say you just pile stuff together, because sometimes it's the cheaper items that make the more expensive items when you're buying. it makes them look like they're all grouped together, so maybe that the caliber of what you're buying isn't necessarily overinflated. They say, well, he's only picking silver and gold, but when they see you picking bowls and coffee cups, they say, oh, well, this guy's just buying junk. Got this bottle here. Nice 70s art glass. Do I trust it there on the bumper? Better not. Anyway, I got this cushion here. This looks like a throwback to the 50s. And it actually goes on top of this aluminum frame over here. So you got the old 50s patio furniture, well built. I mean, what's in the truck is just the tip of the iceberg. I grabbed this bag. I'm not sure if there's anything to it other than the one item I saw. Let's put it on this table over here. The bag is ripping. I grabbed it because I saw this. That's what they call popcorn plastic. And I've always sold every one I've ever had. The heck is that? National Geographic. Well, that's garbage. Halloween hat. That's garbage. Now there's some kind of gun locks. They don't take a key, they take a little spike thing. I guess technically that would be a key, but it just tightens it down. I'll have to look them up. Picked up some earmuffs. A week ago I was looking for earmuffs in the back of my workshop and then couldn't find any, so I had to go upstairs and get my headphones. Yellow yarn. Looks like Raggedy Ann's hair. Well, that's it for what's on the inside of the truck. So we can start working our way into the building. Don't see anything else outside that came from there. So into the building. Oh yes, this crate. It came from there. It was down in the basement, and it was full of basement junk. Brass and pipes and screws and bolts and AM radio. But it's the Sylvan Dairy Company, so nice wooden crate there. Stepping inside the door, this came from that sale. A copper boiler. This is, they used to a lot of times heat up their water back in the day before they had hot water heaters. They put this on the stove. 2 burners at once could heat it up. And then they'd have hot water for a bath. This box down here, what's in here? Oh, some spiffy looking brass valves. New old stock. Never been used. Okay, and I got this half case of Weld-On number 16 clear thickened cement for acrylic sheets. Well, I won't have too many acrylic sheets I have to glue together, but we'll see if it's tacky enough to do some other simple jobs. Working my way down the aisle, the next thing I see that came from that place is this display. It was made for holding beech nut gum. Back when they called them beachies. And over here's some traditional beech nut. So it's a 3-tier counter display. Sit on the counter at the store. And I can't imagine that thing being full of gum. That'd be an awful lot of gum. Maybe you could gum on the first row and other candies in the upper row. But I thought that was a good score. That came from the basement, and it was on a workbench, like one of the furthest corners in the basement, and piled all over it was black iron pipe for like gas fitting and, you know, some other miscellaneous stuff. But it must have been another 20 pounds of stuff on there. So I put this with the pipe on into my pile, in my basement pile. And when I got back here, I emptied the pipes into a bucket, and then I hosed this thing off, and I sprayed it down with some cleaner and used a soft bristle brush. So it's got some value. I'm hoping at least $100. Time will tell, but I like it, and it's got some watchers, and I haven't found one just like it. I've seen some 2-tiered ones, and they're asking $100. All right, let's walk around the office here. Got 2 computers. The wife, or my son, used to operate this one years ago before he got a full-time job, but the wife is here occasionally in this her computer. This is my office right there. But anyway, stuff that I bought from that yard estate sale. This, now it's a box for a model, but the model isn't really in there. There are some pieces. So, but the box is in great condition. So maybe if I put the box and its contents and a couple pictures, that's not even the directions for this model, but you know, some old, I don't know, what you call them, model heads, model lovers would be interested in owning this. If it's not too pricey, it can go up to the antique mall. Also, I picked up the bomb. No. Actually, I didn't pick this up separately. It was just in some stuff that I picked up a pile of. So if anybody recognizes what toy this came from, so I can get my focus on here. There we go. See, it's got a loop for a string, so it could slide down the string. There was a string wrapped around it when I got it, but this clock came from there. Let me turn on some light. Fingers are getting cramped. I need a selfie stick. This clock is made in Germany, and it's got a Bakelite frame around it. I wound it up, and it will tick if you give it a good shake. So it probably needs lubrication, but I'll let the next person do that. I believe it's what's called leatherette, maybe a very thin piece of leather applied on the cardboard from back in the day. You can see it says Germany on it, made in Germany. Oh, I think it likes ticking face down, so maybe I'll just let it lay face down for a while. This is a winder for the clock, for the time, and the winder for the alarm. You're missing the, I think they call this a bow. So with a little bit of pressure you can still crank it, but this would be for somebody who just wants it as a display piece, or if they want to, you know, go ahead and tweak it a little bit, you'd open it up and give it some lubrication, probably make your own bow, or anyway, you get the picture. All right, keep on ticking. Is there anything on my desk? Just another tube of that glue. Oh, here's something. Let me straighten that up. This ring, I believe it's 14K. It was in a box of jewelry. I didn't know it was 14K when I grabbed the little box of jewelry, but I threw the box of jewelry on my pile. And, you know, I've got no qualms with the people I'm buying from. If they want to go through the pile and appraise it themselves before I make an offer, that's entirely up to them. Oh, there's those headphones I was using as earmuffs last week. All right, well, around the bend here, we have a Radio Shack Sherman tank. I haven't looked inside yet, so can I get in there with just one hand? I'm going to need two. Hold on. All right, well, it's got a certain cool factor, but the throwback on this is it's radio controlled, and there is no radio. But here's the gun goes on there. So this is probably going to end up at the antique mall. There's no battery door on it either. So I saw somebody just trying to sell the treads on eBay, so I'll have to look. Unless those treads are selling like hotcakes and they're going for $25, you know, I'll probably just take this up to the antique mall and put as is on it. Display only, $25. Okay, I told you it was just the tip of the iceberg. Now, this pile here, there are some things that aren't from there, that stuff, but this stuff over here is from that house. And let's start off with the, what I call the Evel Knievel helmet, or the Easy Rider helmet. I've seen these on the internet selling for easily $100. Like anything though, you don't know. You might get to 100, you might get 50, you might get 25, but it's got a lot of potential. It is a vintage helmet, so let me set that aside. It is, I'm going to blow it out with the air gun and put this on the eBay. I got Pennsylvania Wild Turkey Federation, and that's a metal sign. That's what's nice about that. And typical license plate, nothing special there. Curse of the Cobras. This is a game, I think, because Raiders of the Lost Ark was popular, so probably somebody trying to ride the coattails of the movie's fame, because you can see the guy, it looks like he's wearing a fedora, just like Raiders, but he's got a mustache like Tom Selleck. So I looked this up. I haven't been inside, but these could be $50 or more. And what was nice is after I bought and paid for everything, the man said, "Oh, you didn't see this here." And he was sitting in a chair and he slid it out and said, "You can have this too." I'm like, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and open it. Well, I don't want to... Okay. Did not see that coming. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Christmas lights, not Cobra game. But they are vintage Christmas lights, so I believe these are in good condition, so I'll have to see what I can see to see if somebody wants Christmas lights. And maybe somebody's going to want the empty box. Sometimes an empty box can be good money. There was one time, we're talking 20 years ago, I was at a yard sale and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a garage sale, and it was a man, I was probably in my late 40s back then, so the man was probably in his late 60s, but I walked around his yard sale, or garage sale, and I didn't see anything. So I said, well, probably the last garage sale I'm going to be at today, so let me do my due diligence and take a second walk around. So I did a second walk around, and then I saw a box underneath the table. I pulled the box up, and it had Christmas ornaments, just plain round Christmas ornaments, and they were all like pitted. They were nasty looking. I said, how much for the box of Christmas ornaments? He said $3. I gave him the $3. I think that was the only thing I bought at his sale. And then I left, stopped at a gas station, dumped the Christmas ornaments into the trash, kept the box, sold the box on eBay for like $250. The story on the box was it had a nice lithograph of a toy from the 1960s. It had Captain Action. His hover car was on that box, and the box was in really good condition. Strange thing was, though, I think Captain Action's car reminds me a bit of the land speeder from Luke Skywalker Star Wars. So remember, sometimes the box is where the money's at, because a lot of people just threw their box away once they got the toy out, or the box just took a beating. So yeah. Curse of the Cobra. I guess we got cursed by the Cobra. He said, here's your curse. You're not getting the toy, you're getting Christmas lights. Because I definitely am more confident that the toy would be worth more than the Christmas lights. All right, well, I got the Santa Maria, a Rebel Authentic Kit. I haven't opened this yet. Let's see. Tissue paper. I see directions, the sales, and 90% of the kit is missing. So, alrighty. That's why I just make piles rather than, I could have spent a lot more time poking into every box and seeing was it worth what I was going to offer in the end. Well, the bottom line is, I offered them X amount of dollars, and I think I am well on my way to getting those dollars back on some other items. Garbage. All right, the Model Power E-Train. This was the first thing I saw when I came into his house, and he was sitting in the living room. I guess you would call it was almost like a Victorian house, maybe right after the Victorian architecture was toned down a little bit. But real high ceilings, big rooms. But he was sitting in a chair, and this was across from him against the wall. So that's where we started. And so I did look in here when I first got there. I thought, that's a clean looking little train. So I bought this, and I thought, okay, there's no track. Well, then I come to realize that the track was in other boxes. It says track faller. They're actually brass rail track, and it says faller on the bottom. I believe that is a company in Germany, because I actually had roll-out background scenes that you could use for your train layouts that said faller on them. I sold those up at the antique mall. I tried to sell them on eBay. I think there was like one long one. You lap them together, and you ended up with one about 8 feet long, and it didn't fly on eBay, so I took it up to the antique mall. At least I got $22 out of it. So, not just one track box, but 2 boxes of track. And I'm going to be going back to this house, so no doubt, I cherry picked, but hopefully there's still some fruit to be plucked. Let me set this aside. Nerf Golf. This was also in the, I think, a train pile when I first got there. And I figured, well, Nerf looks, you know, like 70s. Okay. It's got a lot going on in there, but what it doesn't have going on is any type of golf club. But there again, I haven't had a chance to research it on eBay. It could be the stuff that somebody's missing to round out their Nerf collection. This is cool. It's got a little bit of weight to it. The Yellow Bee RFT electric remote controlled park flyer. This I opened up. This was in the, is this on the 3rd floor? Or this is the 2nd or 3rd floor, but look at this. Untouched. Still in its original wrapping. That's awesome. I just hope it is awesome on the eBay. But I wonder if a battery that old is still going to hold a charge. It's hard to find the date on these. Sometimes you look at the directions. I say it's hard to find the date, and there it is. Booyah, right in front of me. 10/05. So this thing's 20 years old. So like I said, the man was 78, so it was probably his son's. So I would imagine his son is probably in his 50s by now, and if he took 20 years away from that, maybe he was 30. Or maybe the family bought this for the old man and figured, hey, Dad, have a go at it. Well, nobody had a go at it, so I haven't looked it up on eBay yet. The Yellow Bee. Buzz, 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 buzz. Okay, this caught my eye right away when I was there. I think I lifted up a box with a couple of things in it and put it in my pile, and this was in that box. God, please don't let it be Christmas lights inside. I have not looked in it yet, so. The Remco Movieland Drive-In Theater. It's kind of like a Matchbox type play set. Booyah! Okay, it's there. Oh, and it's got some cars in it too. Here's the movie screen. I think the movie screen goes here. And how many cars are here? Okay, I got 3 cars. I'm not sure if they're all part of this set, because they seem to be different sizes, but they look like the same paint scheme. Because this one is big compared to the other ones, which have their wheels on the outside. So, but they look like they came out of the same factory. And I've seen these. I didn't look inside. I just went by what I saw on the outside, and I checked on eBay, and I think these were going from $50 to $150. Of course, it always depends on condition and how many parts are there or not there. So that's the Remco Movie Drive-In Theater. Now I have this army bag. I remember looking inside, but I didn't really root through it yet. Got a knife. Well, that's a knife. It's a case. It says Pawnee Case XX. Somebody was not very inept at sharpening it, because there are a couple scratches up in this area that don't need to be there. And feels like the edge is just a little bit crooked. But depending on the knife, you know, in mint condition, some knives are $200, and not mint condition, maybe they're $75. Okay, what else is in this And also the bag itself is old military. And my man that was selling me this stuff, that this is what he used to take with him hunting. Okay. Gloves. Ricola. I throw out the Ricola. I ain't that desperate. Looks like a Pennsylvania hunting license turkey tag from 1920. So, and the man that sold me this stuff was an avid hunter. So to think only 5 years ago, he went out hunting. So at 78, he was 73 and he was still out there trying to blast a turkey. He told me he got deer several times. We didn't talk about his turkey hunting or what other animals, but I'm all for, if you want to kill and eat, go ahead. There's another knife. It is a Ka-Bar. I'm not familiar with Ka-Bar. I just know that knives in general are a good thing to pick up, especially if you're picking them up cheap. If you don't know much about them, don't spend much on them. But I know, especially when I'm working down in Florida, we sell a lot of knives. I'm not sure I'm putting this in backwards or not. It's got this S bend in it. Get in there. And while we're on the subject of knives, let me go ahead and show you what else I picked up at that house. Oh, that's not a knife. This is a knife. United States Marine Corps. Probably World War II era. I didn't get any story on it, but it wouldn't surprise me if it belonged to his father, because if he's 78 and you subtract 1945, 60 years ago, and his dad would have been old enough to be in World War II. But this is called a Bolo, B-O-L-O, and it's heavy, like a meat cleaver. Nice, thick, heavy sheath, and the sheath is marked USMC on it. So I think this came out of the basement. I have it on the eBay. If you want to check out my eBay, just go to Auction Boss. One word, all lowercase. That's my handle on eBay. I've been the Auction Boss on there for 23 years, I think it is. I'm sure there's an Auction Boss 1 and an Auction Boss King and stuff like that, but all right, more Ricola, more gloves. Throw out the Ricola. I'm sure the hot hands probably doesn't activate anymore. Plus, I'm generally not here where it's cold enough that I need hot hands to heat my hands up, because I leave mid-December and go down south. All right, well, I was going to say the bag is empty. Not yet. A whistle. It is a tested and guaranteed Acme. Yeah, I've had Acme whistles before. Usually you're better off with the metal ones. This is, like every company, as time went by, they learned to make their products cheaper. You have to compete, but I miss the good old days when things were over-engineered. I'm going to throw this in my showcase. Okay, and this box here contains Pilsner glasses. The old, it was back when they drank beer with glass back in the day. You drink it out of, I believe, a Pilsner glass. And these are etched or wheel cut with the initials. I'm going to say, is that a G? GBH. So I assume that's all that's in this box. I'll look them up on the eBay. I think I have some Pilsners in the back. Let me see if they're the same body as the Pilsners I have in the back on the shelf. Okay. Here's a nice clean one. Nothing etched on it. They are different. Mine is a little taller, though, well, they're both mine now, but a little more flute shaped. All right. Let me put this back. I find glass to be a pain in the neck. I've made money off of glass over the years, but not one of my favorite things to deal with because I'm always worried about chipping it or cracking it, dropping it. And a lot of it doesn't bring you good money. Speaking of glass, let me check this box. Oh, speaking of glass, I have on eBay right now, as this video is being produced, this came out of that house. I think it's Hi-C Cornucopia Cobalt Blue. And when you pick up a piece of glass and you're thinking about buying it, of course you give it the look over, but what you want to do is give it a good feel. Because if there's any nicks, your hand's often going to find it before your eye does. So put this in my pile. This was on the first floor in the credenza. So I say I put that on eBay yesterday and there's already a bid on it. I got this Viking, I believe it's 6-inch orb. They call it the orb ashtray. They do make a smaller one. It has, the smaller one I think has 1 notches in it. But this has a cigar notch in it and 2 cigarette notches. And there again, you do, you know, cop a feel. It was in good shape. Put this on my pile. Because if it's got a chunk out of it, I'm not going to buy it, because why throw it on the pile? Because whoever you're buying from they're going to look at that and say, oh, okay, well, that's on the pile. That makes, they're going to do math in their head and try and add up something that's got no value on it into the price of the pile. So, but I have the ashtray on eBay also, and it's got a lot of watchers, a lot of views. All right, this box came out of there. You know, usually I'm not that much into aluminum, but he said that was his parents. So I flipped it over, gave it a good look over, and I said the original sizzling steak platter. It's a Wagner. So Wagner makes a lot of cast iron. So throw it on the pile, you know. It turns out it's only worth $5, $10. No harm done. Okay, the box inside the box here. I forget what's in here. I'm sure I popped the lid. I'm going to be surprised all over again. A beer stein. And it is a World Nelson Pottery, England. Made in 72. Now, like I say, just like glass, even though this is pottery, you do the same thing. You get the feel, and it feels just fine. But there is something going on called crazing. And what that is when pottery, I'm sure glass does it too, but to a lot lesser degree, no pun intended, but as temperatures change, the pottery expands, shrinks. expands, shrinks. And what happens is the glaze gets a fracture pattern in it, and it's called crazing. So if you stare at it real close, you can see these almost like if you ever seen like a shattered car window on the side, how it's all over the place until you actually knock it over and knock it out. But this has a lot of those lines in it, so it's crazing. And it was only recently I realized that crazing, does that mean cracks in the glazing? Crazing, is that where that word comes from? But I throw it on the pile because crazing doesn't necessarily kill an item, especially if it's a valuable item. If this was worth $200 without any crazing, this might be $50 with a crazing in it. But the crazing is just almost considered patina, just as long as the stuff isn't flaking off. I'd rather have crazing than have a chip out of it, have a squirrel bite out of the bottom or something. So we can deal with the crazing. Oh wait, here's a pile down here. And a Rector set. And I found these parts. Well, I know this is from it, and I know this is from it, in the bottom of other boxes I was cleaning out. So I said, oh, that belongs to the Erector set. I have yet to open the Erector set. I just threw it on my pile. No, it's got latches. We're facing the wrong way. Let me turn it around for you. For the unveiling. I'm precariously balanced. Latch, latch. Ta-da! Nice condition. Very nice. I see no rust. The case isn't all beat up. It's got the directions. Let me drop this in there. Let's see if we can find the date on it. The young lad on the cover looks like he's from 1940. Some of these kits, didn't they have numbers to tell you which kit you had? Yeah, numbers 6.5. Right there, so. There again, looking for a date on the directions. I don't know why they don't put on all directions. I mean, there's 90% of them don't have the date on it. This says design patent 49308. So is that 1949? Like I said, it looked like the fellow was from the 40s. 1954 is on here. So even though that fellow looks like he's from the 40s, they weren't too eager to swap him up with a kid that looked like it was from the 50s just yet. Not sure what Erector sets are going for nowadays, but okay, digging into this box over here. That was something that just happened to be in the box. It wasn't something I was after. Duck, duck, goose. Oh, that's a robin, I think. It's a problem with the models, though. Largely, you open them, either they're halfway built or half the parts are missing. Okay, everything is go. Revell. So this is probably from the 1960s. Could it be? It's not been attempted to be built yet? Yeah, there's a little building going on there. So I'm not sure how the model collecting people feel about that, but you have to sell it with a disclaimer that you can't guarantee all the parts are here. It would take forever to try and inventory everything to verify whether or not something's missing. In theory, you could do it. I guess if you were locked up in prison, nothing but time on your hands. I haven't been locked up in prison. You could inventory it all just to kill time. So originally $2.49. I said this was a box. I just grabbed the whole box and said I'll figure it out later. Score a word. So it looks like a rip-off of another game. Board games don't do too well unless they are themed after something like, say, the Munsters or Gilligan's Island or McHale's Navy. So board games most of the time are a big fat zero. Like $5 if you found somebody that was had that in their youth, would like to have it again. Okay, what's in this box? I have no idea. Chadsworth slippers. Okay, a balsa model in mid-construction. So this almost looks like kindling to get a fire started. I hate to be harsh, but, you know, what's your opinion? Do you think somebody would actually find this to be of value and want it? It's not in the original box. There's no directions. And now, what might be worth something, at least nostalgic-wise, is the Aerogloss Dope. Aerogloss Dope. And I think this is how they got the name. Hey man, are you on dope? Because I think this is one of the original stuff that people used to huff the fumes from. So they said you were on dope. So, but its value is just because old model collectors would probably like to have it sitting on their shelf in their model room. Like in that little hot rod model I have over there, I have 2 bottles of testers. So depending on the value, I might put this with that model box and those 2 bottles of testers and say vintage model builders lot. So I'm going to put that over there now. Birds of a feather and all. All right. The double draw card game. I mean, that's got to be a big fat zero. I get tempted to take all my low-end board games and tape them, tie them up and tape them up and put them in the antique mall and say one price takes them all, no guarantees. Catholic youth. I used to be a Catholic youth. I used to be an altar boy. Went to Catholic church, Catholic school. 1963. 0. What's Genu? The man had a sister. She's no longer living. So I wonder if this was hers. So this is going to be, if anything, this is worth $1 or $2 more than the Catholic youth. A little more sophisticated than Tiger Beat. He was a creep and a square. Why couldn't she forget him? A short story by Grace O'Connor. Get out of here. Grace O'Connor. I don't know who the Grace O'Connor is, but I'm an O'Connor. I'm Daniel, by the way. Daniel O'Connor. And that's the correct spelling of my name. Sometimes you'll see O'Connor spelled with an ER at the end. And I'm like, I think the ER people are the ones who are just trying to hide their Irish heritage back in the day. Because it wasn't cool to be Irish back in the, I guess, the 20s. Scrapbook. Okay. Scrappy Doo. Oh, that's cute. Christmas cards. I wish it was better held in place. It seems like it's all Christmas cards. Maybe I'll stick it in the antique mall and put $10 on it. And if it doesn't sell when I come back next year from Florida, I'll just pitch it. But they are nostalgic. I mean, they take me back to my youth. And like I say, I'm not 78. I'm more than 20 years younger than the man that I bought this stuff from. But this collection might have been started back in the 60s, 50s, 60s. Definitely doesn't look like the 40s. All right. Ooh. Slammed it down like a pog. Crazy Eights card game. It's in there. Don't know how to play Crazy Eights. Looks like a big zero. Not everything that is vintage or antique has value. Now, I've had these in the past. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tom and Jerry. Not the cat and mouse, but to tell you the truth, I don't know which Tom and Jerry that these were established on, but these are old Christmas eggnog hot toddy mugs. I got 6 of them, so I'll have to do my homework again on them. The maker's mark is MCK, which means McKee. Okay, here we have a box of 45 records. I was hoping that the man, as he grew up, was a Beatles fan, but he said no, he wasn't. So I'm not sure what's going to be in this case full of records. Ooh, I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's just skim through them. The Righteous Brothers, the Hombres, Three Dog Night, yep, Mel Carter. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll look at each one of these. There's the Beatles. So I'm going to look at each one and pull out any Beatles and Elvis is usually what I do. But this is the Beatles, P.S. I Love You on Tolly. So I have no idea if that's worth more than $5, but all right, I'll get back to that. Don't want to make you look at 100 different 45s with me. I'm trying to leave no stone unturned from the purchases I made. That was day before yesterday. Today is what, the 11th of July? Over here from that same house is a speaker. Oh, I got to reverse. I priced this out and I figured I'm just going to run it up to the antique mall for what it's bringing on eBay. They're hovering around just over $20, $25. And if you charge shipping and eBay takes their fee, you know, you're not even getting $20 profit. So I'd rather just put it in the antique mall for like 15 bucks. This came from the house. This is a thermos that looks like a shotgun shell. So, oh, and there's an item. Now the hourglass did not come from there. That's what I'm piling stuff on here to go up to the antique mall. You have a jumbo-sized cigarette lighter. So it's going up to the antique mall. This bag of garbage came from that house, and in it was my little friend here. That's Luke Skywalker. He feels rubbery. And whatever else is in this bag. I'm going to put it into a box. Star Wars. Oop, I heard something clack when I threw that bag aside. Hey, there's the land speeder. So I said that's what Captain Action's car I thought looked like. Got an X-Wing, or is that a TIE fighter? I don't know. But it's only got one wing. Now, I don't think Luke would have to worry about this guy. Kind of small. You got different scales here. I guess that Luke is like a 12-inch. And then you drop down a couple sizes and you're dealing with these guys. Whose ammo belt is this? Is this Star Wars? I'll find out. I don't see any embossment on the back with the manufacturer's name. Wait, there's something there. Yeah, up here by the buckle. Yeah, Lucasfilms Limited. So that's a actual size belt for a child to play with that I guess is supposed to be a version of this belt, but don't know what that is. I'll probably just lump a lot of this stuff together and sell it for one money. Who the heck is that? Get your hand out of there. There's Darth, and I assume that's Leia. All right, well, the good news is I have the Darth Vader case that contains all these figures. So you guys go in there. I've sold these figures before. Depending on which one, sometimes you group 2 or 3 together, sometimes just one. So it wouldn't surprise me if I got all my money back that I paid for the whole lot just by selling the contents of this case. Then I got this box of jewelry. That's where this ring came out of. I just threw a box of jewelry on my pile. It was pretty nasty. I had to take all the jewelry out and take all the stuff out of it that was just crud, and then blew it out with the air gun to freshen it up. But like these watches here, you know, they're nothing to get excited about. There's no Rolex. There's a Gruen, oh, that one's ticking. A Wittenauer. That one, the bezel's so dirty and cracked. Oh, it's upside down anyway. Westclock. And a Zandiet. So maybe I'll group the watches together. I'll research, make sure that no one by itself is worth sending it up by itself. And here is a, try and do this with one hand, a travel watch alarm. I don't know if it's an alarm, but it's a timepiece. It's a West clock. This thing here, this is a bottle opener, and if you unscrew this, you can flip it around, and there's like a 2.5 inch little sword on it. I guess you can use a little letter opener or a cut string or something like that. That's actually a Russian piece. Not that I was desperately trying to acquire this thing, because I think I've got no shortage of vintage thermos jugs. But it was with something else, and I just threw it on the pile. It's actually a ceramic inside. So it's heavy. I mean, empty, this thing feels like it's got 2 gallons in it already. So thought maybe I'd put it up at the antique mall, put $10 on it, see if somebody wants it for a decoration. Which reminds me, what it was also alongside with was this item here. The picnic pack. That's aluminum. For each one of those rings is its own tray, and it's stackable. And the bottom one has I guess a handle if you want to use it as a frying pan. Well, I don't recommend frying in aluminum. But I thought it was cool because I've seen some of these over the years, but can't remember the last time I ever saw one with a box. So I threw it on eBay. I'm hoping, maybe I got it asking opening bid of $45. So they've sold for that and more. But I overlooked this box sitting here at the pile. Foreign currency. Looks like from Germany. So there again, I think maybe the man's father had been in World War II, which would explain that Marine Corps hatchet, machete type dealio. That's garbage. See, I don't know what's in this box. I just grabbed it, threw it on the pile. Ear protection, put that in my shop. Hugo Max. All right, well, it's been worn. I'm not sure of its value. Never heard of Hugo Max. Quartz quality watch. Hey, quartz quality watch. What a generic thing to put on the outside of your box. It's a Mark Nainer. Okay. 1 year limited warranty. A prayer book. Billy Bob teeth. Hooked on phonics. Really worked for me. There's the Citizens. And I'll put that with those other watches from that watch from the jewelry box. Some keys. I usually just scrap them for the brass in them. I throw them in my brass pile. Another prayer book. So you should leaf through these things, make sure nobody's put something precious in there like a $100 bill. Because that's what they tend to do back in the day. It's a wallet. Nothing in there. I see something. I think it's just a silhouette of what used to be in there. Okay. Okay, I thought that was a block of wood at first. It's actually a box. With a block of wood inside. I believe that's the Marines insignia. So, all evidence points to the fact that this man's father was in the Marines. Sacagaweas. Oh, this is heavy. Hold on. All right, well, I bought this box back to my workbench because it's getting too hard to hold the phone. I'm getting cramps while trying to opening this stuff, but this has got a little bit of weight to it. What is in here? Why is it not opening? Oh, it's got tape on it. Huh. Well, at least they supplied me with a knife to get in there. The knife is just nothing. The Franciscan Monastery. Yeah, if you're in the monastery, you're going to carry a knife. This is the choice they give you. Some little. Here's a nice little pocket knife. Yeah, it's definitely seen some use on it. Somebody, when they sharpened it, they were a little bit rough. They went all the way down to the throat. Can almost make out the name, but I'll need a magnifying glass. We have 1951 quarter. That's all silver. Another little pocket knife of sorts. Another pocket knife of sorts. Skeleton key. And a Gregorius del Rex Instant Imp coin, 25 cents Canadian. That might be silver too. And a nickel that's so darn worn, it's probably not even worth a nickel anymore. Okay, something a little bit religious there. Mary and Jesus on it. Dakota Outdoor Cutlery. Well, at least they put their name on the box and they just didn't write pocket knife on it. Ooh. I can never hang on to pocket knives. Not that I lose them. It's just I always forget to put them on my belt again for the day. $1947. Can you remember when? The average income in 1947, a new car was $1,290. The average income was $2,685. Dozen eggs was 70 cents. And yada, yada, yada. Top movies, Gentleman's Agreement. Don't remember that one. Of course, Miracle on 34th Street. Yes. And the inventions that came out were the LP record. Oh, okay. I'm thinking they had records before that, but they were 33 1/3 L records before then. The kind that if you drop them, they would break into pieces. But then the LP came along, which were a lot softer and held a lot more music. Polaroid land camera came out then, and the microwave oven. So if the microwave oven came out in 1947, I don't know who had them, because I didn't see them around except in like cafeterias sometimes back in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, a dolphin, a straight razor. Looks to be in nice condition. Sometimes you see them, the ends broke off for some strange reason, but this says Shumates tungsten. So that's a piece that needs to be looked up on the eBay. I've sold straight razors. Some of them only went for $5 and some went for 50. A lot of things are like baseball cards. You know, baseball cards. Some cards are 50 cents a piece and some cards are $500 or $2,000. You just gotta come across the right one. Zippo box. That's about worthless. Here's a token in here. A bus token. Is this? And then another one comes up. Huh. Oh, you can put them on either side too. There and in the middle. So I guess you just load it up with your bus tokens. Or there would have been streetcars largely back then. I've seen my share of tokens, but I've never seen a token dispenser before. This one says the good for one zone fare, Penn Transit Company, PA. Military knife. Woo! I'm not even going to bother opening that. Generic. Barracuda. I had to put it in that script writing. It looked like it was Egyptian or Turkish. Barracuda tactical knives. It might be $5 easy at the antique mall. Make sure it's not worth much more than that before I price it. Now here's some, looks like tie tacks. So I can get to the back of them. Some of these things could be gold. Oh, wow. This little man here has a pornographic arm that moves up and down. Never seen that in a tie tack. Yeah, I'm sure some of these are probably 10K or 14K. So, made in China. The CS20. I'm sure that's oh yeah, that's a great item. I've seen hundreds of these. They come in different colors. Oop, there goes the toothpick from it. They couldn't even engineer it for the toothpick to stay in. Okay, we're getting to the bottom of this box. What's this paper say? Allegheny County Deed Book Volume. Acknowledgements, proofs, deeds, testified thereof, the seal, at Cleveland, Ohio, certificate of residence. Registered in Allegheny County, November 29th, 1947. To Stephen Mitchell and Victor J. Custa. I wonder if that has something to do with the house. I'm looking for an address that says it was that location. It's just two of the same document. In the year of our Lord, 1900, between Stephen Mitchell and Irene H. Mitchell, his wife, the city of McKeesport. That's where I was, McKeesport. At the said parties, the first part in consideration of $1. I think they got probably got the house from their parents for $1. Well, I'm still looking for the address. Yeah, it was brick dwelling. Oh, there it is. The brick dwelling known as 3305 Versailles Avenue. or does this mean they paid off their mortgage or something? I don't know. It's confusing. I guess that's why we have lawyers. This conveyance is made subject to a mortgage given by Stephen W. Mitchell and Irene H. Mitchell, his wife, to the Union National Bank of McKeesport, July 27th, 1946, and recorded in the recorder's office. Mortgage book in the amount of $8,500, upon which there is an unpaid balance of $7,971. So I take it that in 1947, they, I don't know who they would have bought the place from, because like I said, I thought he said it was always in the family, but maybe had to buy somebody out. But it was $8,500. All right. Equibank bag. Just Sleep Motel. Well, what if you want to do more than just sleep? Cognac Lake. Into the trash. O'Reilly Rewards. I wish it was a gift card. I don't think it is, but I'll have to make sure there isn't something loaded on it, but I don't think it's a gift card. Roller. Another quarter. A state quarter. And a bag of little bags. Check out my bow tie. Okay, what do we have here? A vinyl wallet of sorts. She looks like that. She would have been the man's mother. Membership to the American Legion, United Steelworkers. Well, who's this Victor J. Krusta? That might be his brother-in-law. I'm sure his brother-in-law is probably, maybe in his 70s too. If his sister passed away, I don't think she married somebody 20, 30 years younger than herself. Yeah, I think it says Miss Ann Kustra. All state identification. Old driver's license. Into the rubbish. Make sure there's nothing else in here. They put a lot of stiff cardboard in this thing, but it's sealed in there. So I don't think we're hiding anything. Oh, tricky. Look at that. All right, into the garbage. Another cheap pocket knife. Pair of tweezers. I'll give you that. They are probably the most pointed tweezers I've ever seen. They look like you could pull the eyelash off of a housefly. That's how pointed they are. There's probably been times when I wish I had a pair like pointed. All right, what's this? Elvis stamps. Thank you. No, I'm not going to do that. All right, well, Elvis stamps. I'm not sure what the value of Elvis stamps are. But let's open it up. I don't know. Are you an Elvis fan? Let me know. Because there are so many celebrities. As time goes by, we get into what really went on behind the scenes. How, at face value, we hear how nice they were and generous they are, but then you hear a lot of stuff that says they weren't so nice. All right, well, Elvis stamps. Well, 29 cents a piece. So 8 times 5. That's a lot of money there. Did I count that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 3 is 120. So is that $10.20 worth of stamps? I rounded up 29 to 30. Hopefully they're worth something more than their face value. Alrighty then. All right, well, I hope you managed to stick with me. It's been an hour and a half. All right, even if you fast forward and watch most of the video, I appreciate it. So give me a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up. Give me some comments, what you thought was the most neat item. I'm sure I may have missed an item or two, but you got pretty much, I think, the full Monty there. So it was a truckload in the back. So thanks for watching Secondhand Dan, and remember, check out my eBay if you want to check out Auction Boss, and you may see some of these items start to appear on there. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.